if you run into a bad date or have a bad experience, move on quickly. Don't stay around. It's like, if it's not working, next.
Michelle Obama is sharing some wisdom for anyone looking for love. On the August 6th episode of the former First Lady's podcast, IMO, which she co-hosts with her brother Craig Robinson, Michelle gave some insight into the dating advice she gives her daughters, 27-year-old Malia and 24-year-old Sasha. And her key to finding love is learning more about yourself.
I just try to get them to stay open to people, right? Because my feeling is like, the thing that I did do was date a lot, right? And so when Barack showed up, I had experiences to compare him against. Like, I knew a lot of them. I didn't like this, I didn't like that. And Barack and I talk about our dating experiences. And, so we try to sort of educate the girls by sharing our experiences, what didn't work. So my whole thing is date a lot. And, if you run into a bad date or have a bad experience, move on quickly. Don't stay around. It's like, if it's not working, next.
Yeah.
So that tends to be my advice.
The 61-year-old also told the story of how she and former President Barack Obama started dating and why she almost shut him down.
I was a practicing attorney at my law firm. I was a first-year associate. Barack is older than me, but he took time off and was at Harvard after I graduated.
Right.
So when I was a first-year associate after I graduated, he was just a first year in law school. And so every summer, law school students would intern at big firms. They'd be interviewed, they'd get hired, they'd work for the summer as summer associates. So as first-year associate, I was on the Harvard recruiting team, right? But he was assigned to be my advisee. So I had to call him on the phone. So I had this image of kind of this nerdy guy. And then the first kind of sparky kind of feeling I felt actually was when I talked to him on the phone. And he had his Barack Obama voice. It was like, hello. So like the voice was sexier than the image that I had about him. So I was sort of like, ooh, I didn't expect this. And he was older, so he was self-assured. So we had a great conversation. But all I had was a picture, and it wasn't a great picture of him. So I wasn't feeling anything. I just thought, So then it was first day on the job. He shows up late, right?
Yeah, we know that story. We won't.
So I'm like, okay, so he's a trifling nerd with a good voice. That's what I thought. So I walk out, and he stands up. He's tall, right?
Okay.
And he's cute. He was much cuter than his picture, right? The picture didn't do him justice. So I was pleasantly surprised that he was attractive. So he stood up, and he was kind of cool in a way that I didn't expect. He wasn't, he was not unapologetic about being late, but he wasn't flustered by it. He wasn't like, oh my God. He just felt like, it was raining. The buses were a little late. I really apologize. He sort of handled it in a cool way. So I got him started on his first day, and then I had to take him to lunch. And we really hit it off at lunch. We had a long lunch, a great conversation, and we just kind of vibed right at that lunch. But here's the other thing. I had ruled him out, right? Because I was his advisor.
Sure.
So I was definitely in he's cute, but I told myself it would be completely inappropriate for me to date this dude that I'm advising, right? It would be tacky, right? And it would be expected. And over the summer, we were becoming friends, really good friends. Like, Barack was like my buddy, right? I mean, we were going everywhere, and we were, going to lunch, and we were laughing about the same things and making jokes, and we'd have to go to, see, Les Miserables. And I remember I really liked him because we went to Les Mis as a summer associate outing, and we both looked at each other and was like, this sucks. And he looked at me at intermission and he said, let's go. And I was like, we can't go. We're here with the firm. And he was like, we don't have to stay through this. Let's just go. And I was like, ooh, he's radical. He's a rule breaker. And we left at intermission. We left 2 seats open in the box at the firm. And I was like, I'm ruining my career. But we went out for drinks. And so I really liked him, So he starts going, why don't we go out? And I was like, you and me? It was like a month in. He was like, yeah, look, you're cute, you're cool. Why not? And I was like, nah, we can't. It would be tacky. And then he was like, who cares what the firm thinks? Which was also kind of he didn't care. I was like, you don't even have a job.
I love it.
They haven't even given you an offer and you're already like, it's just a firm. This is our business, and they don't care. And so over a couple of weeks, he convinced me that we should go out, not as friends. He wanted it to be a date, which was also kind of sexy, y'all, because he wasn't trying to pretend like he was clear. He's like, I like you. You're funny. You're cute. We should go on a proper date. And this is where I had to tell myself, he's saying real grown man stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I pushing off from this? Because I told myself I wasn't dating because he's my summer associate, you know?
To use one of Dad's terms, you almost threw the baby out with the bath.
I did.
Just because you were standing on ceremony with
some crazy
I'm
principles.
Not dating because whatever.
I could have missed my dream guy. My person was right in front of me, and I was convincing myself against even his efforts that we should go out. And, long story short, I gave in.